Hi and welcome to Ceramics Detailing. So in this short video I'm going to show you how we clean wheels on a standard maintenance wash program. So our standard maintenance wash program is for cars that are cleaned frequently or at least once a month, no heavy contamination of brake dust or road traffic film. So that's what the maintenance wash is designed for. So in this video it's just isolating the wheels, how we actually clean the wheels during that program. So there's no heavy chemicals being used, iron fallout, acid wheel cleaner or non-acidic wheel cleaner. They can all cause damage to different parts of the car, especially if the vehicle has aftermarket parts. We use those very infrequently and really only as a last resort. So you'll only ever see those types of chemicals on our decontamination program, which is about getting the car back to a really decent level if the car hasn't been cleaned in quite a long time. So this is a vehicle we'll be looking at today. We know this vehicle quite well, but if this was a new vehicle, the first thing we'd be looking at, not just on the wheels but all over the vehicle, is for any aftermarket parts. With regard to the wheels, have they been painted aftermarket? These are factory finish, which is great. And the reason we look at things like that is because aftermarket parts mostly are not up to the same standard as a vehicle manufacturer's factory finish. So again, when we looking to use harsher chemicals like iron fallout, we want to be careful that we don't destroy any finish on these aftermarket parts. So the centre hub is factory finish. These Nismo dust caps are aftermarket. The brake caliper has been painted factory finish, but that sticker is not original, so that's aftermarket. So we have to take all of that into consideration. Again, this is a maintenance wash program. If it was a decontamination program, we would definitely be doing things differently to avoid getting any of the harsh chemicals on these aftermarket parts. So this is quite a complex wheel, probably one of the most complex wheels that we would come across. It's got both an aluminium finish and a painted finish. The way we tackle this is, and everybody's different, so the way we do it is we will clean the tyre first and basically work from the outside in. So it's the tyre first, then the rim, then we'll look at segmenting the wheel into portions, and we always start with the area where the dust cap is. The reason for that is, as a professional valeting business, we don't want to miss anything, but we also don't want to go over things twice. And if we start here, let's say we're going around the wheel, we might forget, because everything will then be covered in soap, we might forget that we started here and we'll go on and we'll do another 2 segments. That costs time and that costs money. So we always start with the tyre valve area, and then we know when we come back to here, then obviously the tyre valve area has already been done. We've also got a painted brake caliper, that will get cleaned as well. So before we start on the cleaning, I just want to show you the kit that we actually use on the tyres and the wheel as well. Again, to both clean them properly, don't cause any damage to the vehicle, and get a really nice finish. Okay, so although we have what's called a 2-bucket safe wash, we have a third bucket which we use for the extremities of the car, so the bottom part of the car, the body kit, and also the wheels and wheel arches. So in effect we have a 3-bucket system. We never use the bucket for the body of the car to actually wash the wheels as well. You can do that, but if you're going to have just a 2-bucket system, not a third bucket, then always make sure that you wash the vehicle body first and do the wheels last. The reason we use this third bucket is we do a snow foam application on the car, whether it's a decontamination wash or a maintenance wash, and while that snow foam is doing its thing, we use that time, that 5 minutes or so, to clean the wheels and tyres. So we can't use the bucket that we use for the bodywork, so that's why we use a third bucket. So the kit that we use, obviously standard builder's bucket. This is a pH neutral car wash shampoo, and in here we have a wheel brush. Won't be used on this particular vehicle. Normally use this wheel brush for things like BMW wheels. It fits in very nicely. We also have a second wheel brush, but this one I've bent that at an angle, almost at 90 degrees, just slightly less than that. So this obviously is just a standard brush which is flat, and I've just bent it to this, and this is absolutely ideal for the brake calipers. So this will get in between the alloy wheel and the brake caliper and clean it really nicely, and that's what the angle is there for. Really good tip. The other thing we use bath sponges, and these are absolutely ideal. So this is a rough side and a smooth side. The rough side, which is for exfoliating skin, although it's rough, it's really kind to painted alloys such as this one. Some people use pan scrubbers. Please don't use a pan scrubber. The way to test it is if you get the back of your hand and you go over your skin with a pan scrubber, you'll start to get a rash and it'll start to hurt. If you go over with an exfoliating sponge, that'll never happen. So this is a lot milder. It's still got some abrasive qualities, but it's a lot milder than a pan scrubber. Never use one of those. So we use these bath sponges, 3 bath sponges for about £1, £1.50, so they're very cheap. The rough side is used where we've got heavier contamination on the actual alloy surface itself, or we use the rough side for the tyre. The sponge side is used mainly for cleaning the alloy if it's not heavily contaminated. So everybody's different how they tackle wheels. The main thing is that we clean the tyre, we make sure that we obviously don't damage any of the surface and we don't miss anything, and then obviously the last thing is we make sure we get it to a really high standard. So the first thing I do, take our bath sponge with the exfoliated side, and then we clean the tyre. So my method is working from outside in, and that helps me not forget any of the areas. So once I've cleaned the tyre, the next thing is the rim. That can be forgotten. It's important to do that because if the vehicle's curbed in any way or it comes up against a grass verge, this will be quite dirty and it can get missed. So sponge side, just a wipe around, working our way in. So I start with these segments, again, dust cap, so that I don't miss anything and also I don't go over the areas twice. These are the most important parts. So these are where the brake dust will accumulate, and also down here. So make sure we get into there. There's also a lip on this one. As I said, this is quite a complex shape. There's also a lip here where brake dust will accumulate round the valve, and then this side panel. So that's the inside of that one done. One thing that I normally do, and this is just through experience, is this customer has fitted metal dust caps. So one thing I'll do is, if the customer doesn't know, I'll advise them to put just a little bit of Vaseline or something similar on the actual metal thread, and then whenever I come to valet or detail a car that has these metal caps, I'll always just give it a quarter of a turn to make sure it's free, because what can happen is, especially with cheaper aftermarket parts, the metal dust cap can fuse onto the thread and then the customer can't get it off. So once we've done this section, we'll go around and do all of the other sections first. Again, taking particular note on those areas I've told you about, these, where these creases are, where the brake dust will accumulate. So once we've done these sections, the next thing to do is these internal ribs here. Again, starting around the tyre valve. Once they're done, move into the centre of the wheel and go around all of the wheel nuts. That's an area that gets missed quite a lot. Then the centre of the wheel itself, and then out to these spokes. The last thing to do, using our purpose-made wheel brush, is the actual brake caliper itself. Just be careful, especially I'm mindful that I know these are not Brembo brakes on a Nismo, so I'm being very careful with the sticker kit that's on here. But again, having this brush for this angle just allows you to get into all the areas you need to with regard to these brake calipers. Okay, so that's the wheel done. Obviously move on to the next wheel. When we've done all four, we'll then go over with the power washer. So once we've got the tyre and the wheel cleaned, the last thing to do is to apply a tyre dressing. Two main ways you can apply this. One is with a brush, the other one is to spray it on. When you spray it on, you can use either a purpose-built applicator, or obviously we're a business, so what we do is we save microfiber cloths that have really come to the end of their sort of useful life. The last thing we do with a microfiber cloth is we use it for the wheels and tyres, and then when it gets saturated, that will then go in the bin. So we'd normally just use the microfiber cloth first to dry the tyre. So we're using a spray bottle. This is a commercially available tyre shine. Won't tell you which company because I don't want to give them any free advertising. But the only thing to be mindful of if you're going to spray on the tyre shine, and just to tell you, the reason we spray on the tyre shine rather than paint it on is that we do get some overspray going on to the wheel itself, and we use that overspray to create an additional shine to the actual wheel itself. So that's why we do that, and that's why we don't just paint it on. So one of the things to watch out for, especially if you're doing this for a business or if you're doing it on your own driveway, is we only spray from here around to here. We don't spray this bottom part, and the reason for that is if you do use a spray and you spray tyre shine onto the bottom, what will happen is it'll go on your driveway and you'll end up with almost like a horseshoe kind of effect where the driveway will get stained. So I'm going to spray from there to there and then use the microfiber cloth to actually put tyre shine on the whole tyre. So it's just that kind of action. We then wipe the tyre shine around the whole tyre, and now we've got a little bit of overspray into the wheel, clean part of the cloth, and then we're just going to go around the actual wheel itself. And again, this just creates, it takes some of that overspray and just creates a little bit more of a shine, really makes the car stand out. And that's it. We'll then move on to the next wheel. Okay, so just to focus on the wheel, This tyre shine is actually what's called a semi-matte finish, so it's not a high gloss finish. Most customers don't want that sort of plastic looking finish to the tyres. The tyre shine overspray on the actual alloy itself, that's been wiped in, creates a nice shine, and obviously you've got that small painted brake caliper which is nice and clean now. So that is basically our maintenance wash program cleaning wheels and tyres.